Alright, I'm Mooney Clan, and I will be doing a review slash tutorial of Shadow's Better series. It's a mod series for Mountain Blade Bannerlord 1.2.8. As you can see here, this is the various mod configuration menu for these various better mods. The Better Marriages is not listed here, but that it doesn't have any configuration to it. You either install it and use it, or you don't, or you have it disabled. So the Better series is very good. I use it on all of my playthroughs since I've noticed it. The Better Attributes is actually the one that got me to notice Shadow's mods. And this is honestly one of the features. There's a couple here in his mods, but this one should really be in the base game. Each one of these is like an additional. In the base game, you have the attribute points, and all they do is they help you to level their associated skills faster. But when you have better attributes, you have these additional bonuses here. So with 6 in vigor, I'm getting an additional 18% melee damage, and I increase the stagger and interrupt by 45%. There's various skills. There's various bonuses for each one of these attributes. And the values set for each one of these can be fully customized. We go back into the mod configuration menu for better attributes. You will see that you can even change the associated attribute for this bonus. We can change the companion limit and set it to something really weird like control. I guess you're a controlling jerk and you can handle more companions. But anyways, you can adjust that. You can adjust the bonus to your heart's content, like specifically for this one, the companion limit bonus. Every point of social with this setting of 3 will give you 3 extra companions. That you can have 3 more companions. So a social of 10 would give you 30 extra companions. All of these are exactly the same. You can adjust these. You can adjust the bonus rate. The player only will specify this specific bonus to only work on the player. That's pretty much everything for better attributes. Currently, Shadow still has this field here, these attribute and focus points down at the bottom, but he is in the process of updating better attributes. This will be taken out, and these are going to be their own mods. There's going to be a better attribute points, which he already has, and a better focus points, which I believe he also has. And they work exactly like what I'm going to show you here. The attribute, this allows you to adjust the amount of levels it takes to get 1 attribute point. Base game, it takes 4 levels to get 1 attribute point, and in the base game, the max attribute level is 10. You can adjust this as low or as high as you want to what the configuration allows. Currently, I am playing on 1 attribute point per level with a max attribute level of 30. So I'll leave it at that. Focus points by default are base game is 1 focus point per level and a max focus points per skill of 5. I have mine set to give me 2 focus points per level and a max focus point amount of 15 in 1 skill. So that is better attributes, better attribute points, and better focus. One other thing with the better attribute points, he does have 1 additional field here which can give you additional attribute points. He has recently found a way to do that, and he added that in there. So not only you could get 2, 3, 4, probably all the way up to 100 attribute points per level if you wanted, by adjusting the settings to what you want. So, Better Combat. Better Combat is another one of his mods that is really well done, especially the healing. I like it quite a bit. But to start off, we've got the fleeing mechanic, which if you adjust this, you can completely prevent troops from fleeing. You can set that to 100%. You can check this off so that it prevents the troops from fleeing. The hit multiple targets is the cleave through. So if you have both of these checked, both one-handed and two-handed weapons will hit multiple targets if they cleave through. Previously, the only weapon that basically did this functionality was the two-handed great axes that I know of. So I typically play with all the two-handers. They do this so that I can play with something other than just a two-handed axe. I like that. The interrupt. This allows your player to ignore, basically you cannot be staggered and you cannot be knocked down with these two settings. If you're in the middle of a swing but you get hit by an enemy, you'll get staggered, and that unless you have stagger interrupt, you'll get staggered and that swing will not continue. This prevents that. You'll be 100% immune to that. If you have this checked off, you also cannot be knocked down. So even a horse, a cavalry unit cannot knock you down if you have this selected. Slice through. This is practically mandatory for me since version 1.2.8 has come out. All the mobs and even looters, even the lowest level looter, blocks like crazy. Now, normally this wouldn't be an issue. You can break their shields, but with them actually blocking with their weapon and not their shield, you can't break that weapon, so they can continue to block for days. So I set this an additional chance to cut through so that it doesn't drag these combats out significantly longer than it should. Now the healing of this I really like. This one is one feature I don't use, but it's an extra option. It allows you to limit the amount of healing that can be given to you in a battle. So if you set it to say 1,000 or so, whatever this value is, you have these 3 different ways to heal up, and when it hits this value, it will stop healing you altogether. I just don't mess with that, but that's a decent option. He has it for now. He might get rid of that. The bandages. He is probably going to be turning into its own mod. He was mentioning that, and I gave him some extra ideas for that. I'm looking forward to that. But bandages are very cool. If you're looking for something for like a realistic way, like lifesteal and regeneration obviously is less realistic, but the bandages is more of like a realistic thing, and it's kind of cool. You have to be able to get out of the thick of things and have enough time to bandage. So you would press Q, and then whatever the bandage time is to do the bandaging. For me, I have it set to 5 seconds because I want it to take a little bit of time, and it'll heal me 125 hit points. Now, the number of bandages is how many times you can actually do that in combat before you run out of these bandages. Very cool feature, and he has some stuff potentially in the works here to do with this. I won't tell you, but I'm very excited. The lifesteal. This works quite well. And if you have this value set too high, you'll be pretty much unkillable as long as you're swinging your weapon. I have it set low. I'm probably going to actually lower it even more. But currently I have it set to a maximum health return of 5, a minimum of 1. I would set this to a minimum of 1. Or if you do so little damage, you could be getting 0 health returned. The percent of health return. So say I have it set to 10%. If I dealt 100 damage, 10% would go into life steal. I have it currently set to a maximum of 5 though, so it would only heal 5. But if I had that set higher, if I had it set to say a maximum of 20, but I got 10, a result of 100 damage, 10% of that's going to give me 10 health back. So the regeneration, this works very well. You can set this first number to the amount of health that you're going to get, and this second one is the time of the interval. This can be 1 second, and it looks like it goes all the way up to 2 minutes. So 120 seconds. You can just set that to whatever you would like. And the third option, or the third thing that it has here, is a player region, the damage delay. So I currently have it set to a 10 seconds interval. If I'm at the 7th second, but then I get hit, I gotta wait an additional 5 seconds for that heal to go off. And this works beautifully. Very highly recommended all these different healing ways. The health adjustments. This is amazing for making your playthrough harder. You have 3 different fields here. You have the ones that affect all the heroes. You have the one that affects the player, and the one that affects the troops. For the heroes and the player, you have a flat bonus for every level that they are. And I currently have that flat bonus for both heroes and players set to 2. So when I'm level 20, 20 times 2, it's 40. I would get 40 extra hit points. The percent here. The way that this works is if I have it set to 10%, the base I believe is 100. So let's give the example of if with the flat is unchecked. So I have 100 base, and when I hit level 2 with this percent here at 10%, I would get 10% of that 100 base, which would give me an extra 10 hit points. Now if I add on this flat, well, now it's 10 hit points plus this 2 flat. So that's a total of 12 per hit points, or 12 hit points per level. I haven't been running with the percent. I just do a flat amount. So that's the same for both the heroes and the player, both these 2 values here. But you can customize them to whatever you want. If you want the player character to be overpowered and the heroes to be less so, you can do that. The campaign region. This is what when you're wounded and you're waiting and your health is ticking up and healing, this affects that. So that's the campaign health region multiplier. If you set this to 2, you will heal twice as fast as you normally would. The troops. So the troops also have the 2 other form. They have the flat and the percent. It works exactly like what the heroes and the player has, but they also have additionally health. Every skill point in health will be increased. Every skill point in health, every skill point in athletics will give this specified number in health. Yeah, I believe it starts out at 0 by default, but I like running it with 1. And I will tell you, with these settings, I have my troops, player, and the heroes set. Well, the player and the heroes are set to 2 hit points per level. The troops are set to 1 hit point per level. And the troops additionally get 1 hit point for every skill point in athletics. I started the game out in a most recent playthrough with these settings at roughly 120 hit points. The reason why I had 120 was because of the better attributes. You get a boost from your endurance into the amount of hit points you have. Let's see. Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. I'm definitely in endurance and athletics whore. See right here, this health hit points bonus. Endurance. I think by default it starts out at 2 or 3%. I set that to 5. Definitely improves the health pool of the player and also the opposing all the heroes. You can set it to player only, but so going back to the better combat in this, I started out at roughly a little bit less than 120 hit points, and with these settings for the troops, I went into the practice arena, and a scrub tier 1, they had like 220 to 240ish hit points, and I only had like 115. It really makes the early game more fun and more of a challenge. Once you get to mid game, this is less of, but it does these settings will definitely make your battles a bit longer. They'll be a bit more, for me it's more enjoyable because I'm not just usually in the base game you get a good weapon and you get up to 150 200 skill in, like, say, two-handed, and you're just destroying mobs. With this, it takes a bit longer to put them down. Very, very happy with this. This is awesome. This is a great combat tweak. This is an amazing mod. The better HUD should honestly be part of the base game. It's ridiculous that we can't even view our own detailed stats. It's just a red bar. We don't even know what percentage we're at. We just have to guess by the eyeball in it. With this, though, this selected, you will get the exact stats overlay your HUD. This one displays it as a percentage. I don't use it, but if you prefer a percent rather than specific numbers, you can do that. This will show detailed information. It'll show information for the enemy, and this shows troop counts. It's something, this really should be base game, in the base game, but Tail World logic. So we have better horses. This is another great mod, and he has more hopefully in the works for this. He's considering some additions to better horses, but for right now, what we have is one of the great things is the charge velocity multiplier. With the mobs blocking, I'll tell you a story. So in one of my recent playthrough, when I upgraded to 1.2.8, I got a horse, I had decent ride skill, and I had a long polearm, and I was charging into a looter, just a base looter, and the bastard literally just used his little one-hander. It was like a shitty short one-handed weapon, and he blocked my piercing weapon with the blade of his small, almost dagger-like one-hander, and that frustrated me. But going off that, like, if you want to still do some significant charge damage, you'll still have the blocking issues because of 1.2.8, but you can tune the charging velocity multiplier up, and if you set this to 2, it'll do 200%. It'll do 2 times the normal multiplier for increasing the charge damage. Due to the velocity, that increases the velocity, the multiplier for the velocity. This is to make your horse invulnerable. I don't need that typically, but it is a good feature. But I don't need it because the better combat gives an option. Oh, actually, it's right here. Down here is the option for giving your mount regeneration. So the next one is the horse commands. If you want to be able to call your horse to you, you're going to need this enabled, and you would press Q or you could potentially set it to something else. The horse rearing. So if you have this checked, your horse, even though somebody thrust a spear right into your horse as it's charging, it will not rear up like in the base game. If you just set it like this, all the horses in the game will have that functionality. If you want it to only affect the player horse, you'll have to additionally select this one, and now only the player horse will have that buff. But if you do just this, every single horse in the game will not give a crap about taking a spear right to their chest. They'll just carry on. The regeneration. This works just like the regeneration of the other mobs of the player. The horse will heal by the value specified here, and it will heal each interval. So it's currently set to 1 second. So with these settings, it will heal 10 hit points every second, and then there's a delay. So with this setting, it would delay it by 1 second. If I set this up to here, it'd be like almost 65 seconds. And that is better horses. Now, better prisoners. This is something that I personally love. Ever since I found this is one of my biggest gripes with the base game, and I love that this takes care of that. Basically, my biggest gripe is the fact that it seems like you'll get prisoners and you'll be taking them to put them in a dungeon, and a lot of times they'll escape before you even get them to a place to drop them off in a dungeon, either a city or a castle. But then once you get them in the city or castle dungeon, it's like they just threw them in the dungeon, but they didn't lock the key, because within a matter of a week or two, they've already escaped, and it's pretty ridiculous. With this, though, it completely changes that. You can customize this to your heart's content. I have it currently set to prisoner escape while in a city or castle to 2%. And I have it set to a prisoner escape while traveling to 8%. To me, it just makes sense that they're a little bit easier for them to escape while you're on the road. But once you get into a dungeon, you got guards and you got that whole city that could stop you. So makes sense to me. And then also this is a great feature where you can actually customize a certain specified time where they can't escape before the minimum amount of time. I have it set to 10 days just because I really hate I hate losing my prisoners immediately. But I think by default it starts out at 0, but you can customize this to what you want. I set it to 10 and just call it a day. Now the strength. This is a very cool concept. I haven't used it in my current playthrough, but Shadow recently explained this to me. I am going to start using this. So this has nothing to do with base game stuff. He explained me this value. So every tier of troop, so a tier 1 tier 1 troop is 1 strength. 1 tier 6 troop is 6 strength. If you have 100 tier 1s, that's 100. And if you have 100 tier 5s, that's 500. If you added that together, that would be 600. The player character counts as 7. So if you had 100 tier 1 and 100 tier 5 plus the player character, that's 607 strength for the calculations of this. That would satisfy the requirement here of 500, and then that would allow these escape chances to take place. That basically, because if you're not meeting the requirements, you're not going to get this good of prisoner escape chances. The settlements, the values are the same. Every tier 1 is 1. 1 tier 1 is 1. 1 tier 6 is 6. So the whole sum of all your troops in your garrison and whatnot, as long as it meets this value, you are safe. So I'm going to tweak this and I'm going to set this. I'm not going to do it now, but I will be using this in my current playthrough. The ransoms. You can actually set this to whether you want ransoms or not. It says here, should ransoms be allowed? If you have it unchecked, yeah, so this, you check this and it allows ransoms. You have it unchecked, it doesn't allow ransoms unless it says they'll only be released at peacetime or if they escape. This is the one I use already, and I love this. I hate getting a ton of requests to ransom off some lord or lady that I have in my dungeon or in my party. I have it set to auto reject all those, and I get none of those pop-ups, and I really like it that way. Relation. This is a fun one. It has some unintended features that I was talking with Shadow, but so the intention of this is to have a negative, to receive a negative penalty for imprisoning lords and ladies, and you can even set it so that their family is displeased with you when you imprison these various lords and ladies as well. That's how this works. You can set it to the amount of relation penalty that you want. It goes all the way to -10. It starts out at 0, but the unintended feature, it's kind of funny. You could set this where if you imprison somebody, now you're gaining relation with them. And if you have this checked, you're gaining relation with their family. Kind of funny, but hey, maybe you are taking really well care of that lord or lady, and they're writing home letters saying, wow, it is amazing to be in this prison. Another thing that he said was maybe you're like beating that person into like Stockholm syndrome, and then they're actually learning to love you. Maybe that's what's happening too, and then they're writing home like, man, this guy is really it's amazing. I'm getting beat every day, and the family's loving it too. So it's an unintended feature. Just figured I'd point that out. It's kind of funny, but that's how that works right now. Better skills. This is something you need to be careful of. It's fun to play with. I would save your game before messing with this, but you do have an option. If you screw this up, you can go up here and click default, and it will set everything back to default. Also, you see this plus sign? Never click this plus sign on your mod configuration menu. This pretty much leads to a instant crash in your game. I don't think mod configuration menu has fixed that, and I just remember that it's been a problem for a while, and I don't ever touch that. So going back to better skills. Also, it's probably with this one, but I only ever tried it there, and then I figured out this is an insta crash. So this is probably also an insta crash. Going back to the better skills. Every single skill that you have has associated things here with it. So for two-handers, the two-handed weapon speed, two-handed weapon damage. Every skill has something associated. See? All these. Okay? The way that works is you can go in under those individual locations and adjust those. Obviously, the thrown weapon accuracy is not going to be affecting crossbow or bow accuracy. They are just compiled under their respective attribute, and you have to adjust each one of these for what you want them to be. Also take note that if I would recommend going in here and adjusting this with your keyboard and mouse and not using the slider, because it's very difficult to get a precise adjustment by using the slider. And then if you get one and then you accidentally bump it, it's a real hassle trying to get back to what you want. So go in here, adjust it the way you want. I think this actually goes all the way up to, it literally goes up to 100. So the way that this works is for every one bow skill, you will get this amount, this value in bow accuracy and this value in bow damage. So as you can see, if you have 300 skill, these values add up. Okay, if you set this all the way to the right, rather than being 0.11, it's going to be 100. So that would be 300 plus another 100. That'd be 30,000. Your bow accuracy would be something like 30,000. The game has built-in restrictions from what Shadow said. He has literally put all these to the end and played the game. It's a big, it's funny, like obviously, but it won't break your game, but it will have some serious effects on various gameplay, and not something I would recommend. So go in here, adjust this, slightly tweak it until you get to where you want. And this right here is your friend. If you screw up, you don't remember what you're doing, and maybe you didn't even do a save before you did this, set it to default. But the problem with that is if you set it to default, now you got to readjust every single value. So when you get it to what you want, like I have mine custom, I'm not screwing with any of this because I don't want to have to readjust these things. I've made a few adjustments, but not many. I still don't want to have to adjust them. So that is all of the, this is the entire Better series with from Shadow. Very excellent mods, much of which I think should have already been in the base game. If you have any questions with these, you can ask me on Nexus Mods or on my my YouTube channel. And also feel free to come by and stop by and check out my live streams. I tend to live stream different games, but I'm going to be primarily streaming Bannerlord for the foreseeable future. This guy's named Uthric. He's not my actual character in my current playthrough, but my current playthrough I am playing Uthric of Sturgia. All right, you guys have a good one. Take care.